Ever wondered what the entire history of ancient Japan looks like, but don't have much time to research? We've researched 57 hours, so you don't have to. In this video, we'll uncover all the secrets from the Jomon period till the Japan on the world stage, how this has impacted the world, and all simply explained within 20 minutes. Part 1. The Dawn of Japan, from Myth to Empire. Our journey starts over 14,000 years ago, in the Jomon period, named after the cord-marked pottery left by a people living in harmony with nature. You, the viewer, might wonder how this era, characterized by semi-sedentary hunter-gatherers, relates to us today. It's simple. These were the pioneers of innovation, the first to settle, to create art, and to form communities. Their legacy? A testament to human adaptability and creativity, echoing in Japan's modern ethos of harmony and innovation. Fast forward to around 300 BC, the Yayoi period ushers in a new era with the introduction of wet rice agriculture from Korea and China. This revolution transforms the social landscape of Japan, laying the groundwork for a society that would come to value, above all, the collective over the individual. It's here, in the paddy fields of the Yayoi, that Japan's intricate social hierarchies and the very concept of wa, harmony, take root. As we move into the Kofun period, around the 3rd century AD, we witness the emergence of the Yamato state, the precursor to modern Japan. The massive tomb mounds, or kofun, built for the elite, symbolize the power and technological prowess of the Yamato rulers. It's a power that's not just military but also spiritual, claiming descent from the sun goddess Amaterasu herself. This claim cements the divine right to rule and sets the stage for the imperial lineage that continues to this day. The introduction of Buddhism in the 6th century during the Asuka period, alongside the adoption of Chinese characters, marks a pivotal point in Japanese history. These elements catalyze a cultural flowering that sees Japan beginning to forge its unique identity, integrating foreign concepts with local traditions. The Nara period, with its grand temples and the creation of the first written Japanese constitution, showcases a society that's becoming more sophisticated, bureaucratic, and centralized. You might ask, why should I care about ancient agricultural practices or the construction of giant tombs? Because these are the building blocks of the world as we know it. They show us the power of ideas, of culture, and of belief in shaping society. The principles of harmony, respect for nature, and the pursuit of perfection that guided the ancients are the same principles that drive modern Japan's technological marvels and its approach to global diplomacy. In understanding the dawn of Japan, we grasp not just the origins of a nation, but the enduring human spirit's capacity to innovate, adapt, and thrive against the backdrop of an ever-changing world. This is the legacy of ancient Japan, a legacy that continues to influence and inspire us across the ages. Just when you thought the story of ancient Japan couldn't get any more fascinating, we're about to dive deeper. From the foundations of a nascent empire, we'll venture into the era of samurai valor and the intricate tapestry of power struggles that shaped a nation. Stay with us as the saga of ancient Japan continues to unfold. Part 2. The Age of Samurai, Warriors, Honor, and Feudal Power. As we peel back the layers of Japan's rich history, we find ourselves in the tumultuous Heian period, transitioning into the age that would define Japan in the eyes of the world, the era of the samurai. This wasn't just a time of warriors and battles. It was an epoch where the concepts of honor, loyalty, and the way of the warrior, or Bushido, were forged in the fires of endless strife. In the late Heian period, a long time ago, the people who were in charge started to lose their power. That's when groups from different parts of the country started to get noticed, because they were really good at fighting and followed a very important set of rules about honor. These fighters weren't just any soldiers, they were the samurai, a group of super-skilled warriors. They became very important and were like the superheroes of Japan's army. Their becoming important was a big change because Japan went from caring a lot about fancy court life to valuing bravery in battle and following strict rules. The essence of the samurai wasn't found solely on the battlefield. Bushido, the way of the warrior, was a code that dictated every aspect of their lives, blending martial skills with Confucian morals, Shinto spirituality, and Zen Buddhist contemplation. This philosophy underscored the importance of loyalty, honor, and discipline, virtues that resonate through Japanese society to this day. The culmination of samurai ascendancy can be seen in the Genpei War, 1180-1185, a devastating conflict between the Minamoto and Taira clans. It's a tale of betrayal, heroism, and the tragic beauty of loyalty unto death. The tension between these clans wasn't new, but it reached its boiling point over succession disputes in the imperial court. The Taira, having established themselves as the dominant force, found their authority challenged by the Minamoto, setting the stage for a 5-year war that would engulf Japan from 1180 to 1185. As the battle raged, the tide turned, literally and figuratively. The Taira, confident in their naval superiority, found themselves outmaneuvered by the Minamoto, who had the advantage of knowing the local tides. The climax came when a Taira traitor revealed the location of the young Emperor Antoku, a precious cargo aboard one of the Taira ships. In a desperate act to prevent their emperor from being captured, the Taira, along with the young emperor, plunged into the sea, a poignant end to a once powerful dynasty. Minamoto emerged victorious, but the victory was bittersweet. The waters of Dan-no-ura became a solemn grave for the Taira, and the Minamoto knew the heavy burden of the power they had won. Minamoto's victory established the Kamakura shogunate, Japan's first samurai-led government, heralding a new era where power lay with those who could seize it by force. From the echoes of the Genpei War, we step into a transformative era. The samurai legacy heralds a golden age of culture and innovation. Join us as ancient Japan's next chapter unfolds, revealing a society reborn from the ashes of conflict. Part 3. The Cultural Flourishing, Heian to Muromachi period. In the aftermath of the Genpei War and the establishment of the Kamakura shogunate, Japan entered a period of remarkable cultural evolution. From the refined elegance of the Heian period to the dynamic transformations of the Muromachi era, this was a time when Japan's unique identity in art, literature, and thought not only took root, but blossomed magnificently. In the serene setting of the Heian court, culture and art reached unprecedented heights. This era gifted us with the tale of Genji by Murasaki Shikibu, often heralded as the world's first novel. Imagine a society where poetry and aesthetic sensitivity were the currency of communication, where the subtleties of court life were expressed through intricate rituals, and where the visual arts flourished with the development of distinctively Japanese styles. As we transition into the Kamakura period, the samurai's ascendance brought about a new cultural dimension. This era saw the spread of Zen Buddhism, a philosophy that deeply influenced samurai culture, emphasizing simplicity, discipline, and a directness of experience. Zen aesthetics permeated art and architecture, leading to the creation of iconic Zen gardens that invite contemplation and reflect the transient beauty of nature. The Muromachi period heralded a more diverse cultural landscape, marked by the emergence of no theater, a sophisticated form of drama that blends poetry, music, dance, and mime to convey deep emotional truths. This era also saw the birth of the tea ceremony, or chanoyu, which elevated the simple act of tea drinking into a profound ritual embodying harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility. These periods were instrumental in shaping the cultural identity of Japan. The Heian period's elegance, the martial aesthetic of the Kamakura era, and the artistic diversity of the Muromachi age contributed layers of complexity to the Japanese ethos. These eras fostered a culture that valued the beauty of imperfection, the depth of nature, and the importance of inner tranquility, values that continue to define Japanese art and philosophy. Up next, we delve into the era of warring states, where the clash of swords and the wills of powerful daimyos set the stage for an unprecedented consolidation of power. Stay with us as we explore how turmoil gave rise to a unified Japan, forging a nation ready to face the future as one. Part 4. The Sengoku period, a nation divided, a nation reborn. In the shadows of the cultural renaissance, Japan plunged into one of its most tumultuous times, the Sengoku period, also known as the Age of Warring States. This was not just a chapter of endless battles, but a crucible that tested and ultimately forged the unified Japan we know today. The Sengoku period began in the 15th century, a time when the authority of the Ashikaga shogunate waned, leading to nearly a century and a half of internal conflict. Daimyos, powerful feudal lords, capitalized on this power vacuum, each vying for supremacy over the others, their ambitions set against a backdrop of social upheaval and military innovation. This period was marked by significant advancements in military tactics and technology. The introduction of firearms imported from the Portuguese changed the face of battle, making samurai armor and traditional strategies less effective. Siege warfare, espionage, and diplomatic intrigue became as crucial as the sword in the quest for dominance. Now we know what the Sengoku period was. Let's imagine living in this era, where alliances shifted like sand, where your next-door neighbor could become your deadliest enemy overnight. Farmers, artisans, and monks were forced to take up arms to protect their homes and communities. Castles rose from the mountains and plains, each a fortress of wood and stone, symbolizing the daimyo's power and serving as strategic bases for their relentless campaigns. Amidst the chaos, three formidable leaders emerged to change Japan's destiny: Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu. Nobunaga, through sheer military might and cunning, began the process of unification, a task continued by his successor, Hideyoshi, and completed by Ieyasu, who established the Tokugawa shogunate. Their combined efforts transformed Japan from a land of warring factions into a unified state, governed under a single authority. This era, while defined by its conflicts, was also a time of immense cultural and societal growth. The adversity of the Sengoku period fostered a sense of national identity, pushing innovations in art, theater, and literature as people sought solace and meaning in the midst of war. With the warring states unified, Japan stands on the brink of a new era. From the ashes of conflict, a period of peace and isolation emerges, shaping the nation in ways unimaginable. Join us as we explore how Japan, now united under a single rule, turns inward, crafting a society that values peace, culture, and the pursuit of knowledge. Part 5. The Edo period: consolidation, culture, and isolation. After Japan came together as one country, it started a really special time called the Edo period, which lasted from 1603 to 1868. This time was different because after a lot of fighting, there was peace for more than 200 years. Japan decided to keep to itself, away from other countries, and was run by a group called the Tokugawa shogunate. This period was full of peace and not changing much, which was a big change from the fighting before. The establishment of the Tokugawa shogunate by Tokugawa Ieyasu brought an end to centuries of feudal warfare. through a strict social hierarchy, a rigid class system, and a policy of isolation known as sakoku, the shogunate maintained peace and order. The samurai, once warriors, became bureaucrats and administrators, embodying the values of discipline and honor in their new roles. The peace and stability of the Edo period allowed culture and the arts to flourish like never before. Kabuki theater and ukiyo-e woodblock prints captured the vibrancy of Edo, modern-day Tokyo life, while the tea ceremony and ikebana, flower arranging, reflected the continued refinement of Japanese aesthetics. Literature thrived, with works like The Tale of the 47 Ronin, immortalizing the samurai spirit in a time of peace. Japan's isolationist policy during this period was not merely a rejection of the outside world, but a conscious effort to preserve Japanese culture and society from foreign influences. While trade was restricted, it was not entirely halted, with the Dutch and Chinese allowed to trade through the port of Nagasaki. This selective engagement allowed Japan to control the flow of ideas and goods, ensuring that any external influences could be integrated on its own terms. Maybe you are asking, what was the impact of this policy? On one hand, it allowed for the cultivation of a unique culture, uninfluenced by Western colonization pressures. On the other hand, it meant that when Japan finally reopened to the world in the mid-19th century, it faced the challenge of catching up with rapidly advancing Western technology and ideas. Part 6. The Threshold of Change. When the quiet Edo period was ending, big changes were coming. Japan had been all by itself, but in 1853, Commodore Perry and his black ships showed up. This wasn't just a friendly visit, it was a sign that everything in Japan was about to change. Japan had to get ready for new ideas and ways of doing things, shaking up a long history of staying the same. For over 2 centuries, Japan's sakoku policy shielded it from the colonial ambitions and tumultuous changes reshaping the world. However, the sight of steamships at Edo Bay, powered by technology far beyond Japan's contemporary capabilities, underscored a stark truth. The world had changed, and Japan had been left behind. The tension between preserving national identity and the urgent need for modernization became a crucible for the nation's future. The samurai, once the revered warriors and stewards of Japanese culture, faced an existential crisis. The values and skills that had defined their existence were becoming obsolete in a world where conflicts were increasingly decided by industry and technology, not honor and swordsmanship. The tension within the samurai class, between those who clung to the old ways and those who sought to forge a new path, mirrored the broader societal struggle between tradition and progress. What about normal citizens of Japan? For the common people, the end of isolation brought both fascination and fear. The prospect of foreign influence and new ideas promised opportunities yet unknown, but it also threatened to dissolve the social order that had governed their lives for generations. The tension was palpable across cities and rural areas alike, as society grappled with the inevitable changes that loomed on the horizon. Japan stood at a crossroads, facing a future fraught with uncertainty. The tension of this moment was not just about the clash of cultures or the shock of the new. It was about the very identity of Japan and its place in an increasingly interconnected world. How could Japan embrace the benefits of modernization while preserving the essence of its culture and history? Part 7. The Dawn of Modern Japan. As the tension between the old and the new reaches its zenith, Japan embarks on an unprecedented journey of transformation. The Meiji Restoration, beginning in 1868, marks the end of the shogunate's rule and the restoration of imperial power. But it is so much more than a political shift. It is the birth of modern Japan, a nation that would not only catch up with the West, but also emerge as a global power, all while preserving the core of its cultural identity. The leaders of the Meiji era understood that to preserve their nation's sovereignty, Japan needed to adopt Western technology and administrative methods. From the establishment of a conscript army and the abolition of the samurai class, to the adoption of Western dress and the construction of railways, Japan underwent a metamorphosis that was breathtaking in its scope and speed. Japan's Industrial Revolution laid the foundations for its economic power. Factories rose, railways connected the archipelago, and education became a right, not a privilege, creating a literate and skilled workforce. The introduction of compulsory education ensured that knowledge and innovation would drive Japan's future. Even as Japan modernized, it experienced a cultural renaissance that celebrated its unique heritage. Art, literature, and theater flourished, now infused with both traditional Japanese sensibilities and new Western ideas. The world began to see Japan not only as a rising industrial power, but also as a wellspring of rich, hybrid culture. The last part, Japan on the world stage. By the turn of the 20th century, Japan had announced its arrival on the global stage, with victories in the Sino-Japanese and Russo-Japanese wars stunning the world. These victories proved that Japan had not only caught up with the West, but could also challenge and defeat the great powers of the day. We've journeyed through millennia, witnessed the rise and fall of dynasties, and seen the birth of a culture that continues to influence the world. From the samurai's honor to the serene beauty of a Zen garden, Japan's story is a testament to the resilience and adaptability of the human spirit. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Like, comment, and subscribe to explore more about the history of Japan and other historical stories. Feel free to check out the playlist and the other video that will appear on your screen now. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the spirit of discovery alive.